Welcome, guys, to a thrilling game of X-Wing sure to be happening here. It is Worlds 2014. This is the top four, the first game. And my name is Steven.
And I'm Zach.
Hello, Zach.
Hi.
We have Paul Heaver on the left and Ira Mayers on the right. And Paul is a name that we've seen in X-Wing about 1 million times from the very beginning. One of our favorite players and a really solid ambassador for this game. And this is his second time finding himself into a really prestigious position here in the top four. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention that last year he was the champion.
He was indeed the world champion, and he has been a great, like you said, ambassador for the game. Highly regarded as one of the best players for obvious reasons, making his way back into the world championship top four here. And we have basically a mirror match here, almost the identical list. Quote-unquote Fat Han v. Fat Han.
Yeah, this is kind of that list that if you're in the competitive scene, you're going to see it a lot, you're going to hear about it a lot. The idea of it is Fat Han. It's a Millennium Falcon stacked up with basically all your favorites. It's got Han, C-3PO, R2-D2, the Falcon. And these lists only are different by one point here. Paul Heaver running Predator and then 3 Talus Squadron Headhunters. Whereas Ira is choosing Gunner instead, not really instead, but in addition, and also dropping one of those Talas down to a Bandit Squadron. Bless you, Zach.
Thank you.
Man, so we have a beautiful looking Falcon also flown by Ira here, and a pretty standard issue Falcon flown by Paul. Do you think that gives Ira any kind of an advantage, psychological or otherwise?
No, not at all. I think these two are excellent players. Obviously, making it this far, you can't do that without being excellent. And I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't give any edge over Paul. He's not kind of shaking my paint scheme.
Look at these formations happening here. Now, a lot of people would say that the Headhunter is one of the big reasons that these Fat Han lists are now able to do so well, because you can stack up that Falcon in a really respectable way and still have plenty of guns on the table. And I think I'd have to agree with that assessment. Having a little swarm factor for the Rebels has pushed things up to a new level for these Millennium Falcons.
It's absolutely true. You know, the Falcon is a phenomenal ship, 360 arc. It brings a lot of offense. You had a lot of upgrades come out that made it even better, like the R2-D2 crew, who can basically help it stay alive longer. And then on top of that, not basically being able to keep your ship longer, you now can run. Typically, you would get 1 or 2 more ships in, but now you get 3 ships, which is 3 different targets your opponent has to go after, 3 different attacks you get, and 3 different ships you can use to screen and block and get in front of your opponent. And it's really a phenomenally good. It's why it's in the finals. It's a great list, and it does well against a lot of the other strong builds of the moment, like anything that includes a Phantom.
Now, on the other end of the top four, we are seeing basically some different builds. So these are the 2 Fat Hans in the top four. And then there's other stuff going on. For instance, a TIE Swarm is still around.
Still making its way.
And you have to ask the question, is Fat Han really the answer to the TIE Swarm? Can it take on that much firepower? And a lot of players saying early on, no, I don't think that's necessarily the case. But as has been proven kind of time and again in the Swiss rounds, it does pretty well against it. And it has a lot of play against those kinds of multiple ship swarmy lists.
Yeah, I think before, when you didn't have the Headhunters out to pair with the Falcon, it was too easy for the TIE Swarm to basically gang up on the one Falcon and just get rid of it, and then you're kind of just out of the game because that's most of your points. In this case, the list puts you in this weird predicament of, do you want to, if you start going after the Falcon, he's really hard to kill because he's got the Falcon title, so he gets the evade. He has C-3PO, so he could even name 1 evade and roll it and get 2, and he's also got the R2-D2 crew. So if you invest a lot of early firepower in the Falcon, you don't really have a choice but to keep going after it.
Right. But, and then it's just a race to bring it down.
Yeah, even if you do eventually get it down, you still have 3 Headhunters to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have the opposite route, which is trying to get rid of the Headhunters first. But either way, it's just not a race you want to run. To really deal with the Falcon, you've got to get a couple attacks on it every single turn.
Well, it looks like we're closing in for some battle here, guys. We have Ira starting to move his Headhunters now well within range of the Falcon. And we'll see where his Falcon ultimately ends up in this exchange. Loving the use of those templates there.
I was going to say,
thank you, Ira.
It's
really
worth noting
that.
those phenomenally beautiful templates over on the right there. They have some kind of bird on them.
Yeah, I don't know what Paul's up to. He's got these weird 2013 World Champion ones that they look all right. But
yeah, well,
mirrored look over there. All right, Paul, what's going to happen here?
Interesting approaches here. So you have Mira's taking his Falcon basically way in the back.
Yes.
Getting way behind his Headhunter, so he may not even engage this first time. We'll see how far he moves.
It strikes me like he's saying, focus on the Headhunters first. I want to kind of distract you with that. And from there, I'm kind of curious where his Headhunters are going to go and who they're going to attack. Is it going to be a Headhunter versus Headhunter, Falcon versus Falcon kind of situation? Or are we going to see some Headhunters trying to take on that Falcon on Paul's side of the board? Ira's obviously well out of danger, at least for now.
Yeah, I mean, they both still haven't moved their Falcon. They're Han, I guess we could call it.
Han on Han. And look, that's a tiny move there.
Yeah.
Now they do
move fast though.
They do both have engine upgrades. That's something to keep in mind.
Also, just a money upgrade.
So good.
Yeah, he looks like he is going to try to do it. Getting further again, that 360 arc is just so quote busted. I'm going to go ahead and say it. So busted. He's
Look
getting
at that.
to boost up here.
Beautiful.
And
beautiful maneuver.
He's still going to get a shoot from the side. And he's kind of using his. It's interesting. He's using those Headhunters as like a screen, right?
Right.
And those I have a feeling those Headhunters are all about to just collide. And both of these Falcons kind of straight.
Look at that. Side. Yeah. Staying safe, and that's going to give. Actually, I think that'll give Paul a pretty good approach this next turn. He'll be able to kind of turn in there and keep the heat on.
Yeah, I'll be curious
right
to
through
see
the asteroids.
what Paul does here, because Paul may have a lot of shots at the Falcon.
Yes.
And again, to really deal with the Falcon, you've got to hit it multiple times every turn to get past the once a turn C-3PO, the evade token. And it's kind of one of those decisions where if you wait too long to start going after the Falcon, it almost becomes like.
You just don't have the firepower anymore.
You can't let him take out your Falcon and not have his prepared to go away as well.
So it looks like the Falcon's going to swing on total whiff. He's going to re-roll it.
For Gunner.
Gunner up.
3 hits. And he's got those fancy acrylic dice from regionals, so does Paul. 1 evade token. See if he spends his focus.
Yeah, so that's 1 damage going to land on that Headhunter. It's going to remove a shield.
Yeah, and Mira here has a lot of shots on Headhunters, so it makes a lot of sense for him to use his Falcon there.
And we'll see where Paul's Falcon's gonna shoot here. Looks like he's going for Headhunters as well. So both these players kind of knowing. I think the game plan here is basically if I can clear my opponent's Headhunters first, then I can swing my force all the way back around. And there's Paul on the reroll. And what do we got? All hits, yeah. And that's basically what you're going to see throughout this entire match. Ooh, total whiffs there.
All right, 2 shields and a damage. Yeah,
and I think a crit, yeah?
That's what... Oh, it's a double.
That's a double. Massive.
Down. Wow.
What a crit. Wow.
Man, the number of times that happens. I mean, it's just... It's a fact. I mean, it's a factor when you're running a ship. You know, even the Phantom with two shields, 2 health can get one-shotted.
Boy, Falcon just sweeping in there and rolling a Headhunter, one-shotted to pieces. That's incredible. Incredible. All right, so we got a Headhunter taking a shot here. Looks like 1 crit lands. No focus.
No evades.
All right, well,
taking the other shield.
Another shield down.
Yeah, and that's what, when you look at Han, the ability to reroll himself, and then you put either Predator or Gunner, the ability to reroll again, and then you throw in a focus, it's like the odds of you getting 3 damage are actually relatively high.
Here's another damage that could take that Headhunter down. Oh, and 2 evades. Just squeaks out of there. So not a favorable exchange so far for Ira, and this is now going to be really bad if this goes even worse. He just needs 0 damage landed here. I think Ira's really wanting to stay in this with 1 ship already down. Odds are stacked. 1 damage, that's good. Going 3 evade dice. What do we got? Nothing. He's gonna spin the focus and evade.
Yeah, at this point, it's not worth the risk. If you get 1 more ship behind, you're just in trouble.
1 more ship behind is a problem. Yep. All right, and we got another shot from the Headhunter.
Seeing if he's in arc.
Paul with his sweet...
bringing out the lasers. Laser beams.
It fits so well. A lot of games, like, you're playing some fantasy-style miniatures games or whatever, laser pointers don't fit, but, look at that. Yeah. That looks perfect.
Yeah, looks like one of those red blasts.
I believe.
All right, looks like he's shooting the other Headhunter. Range 2 hits? I think it's range 3.
Range 2 hits. Range 2 dice. And...
1 evade.
Looks like 1 evade. So that's 1 shield lost. Not awful, but we do have one more to go here.
This exchange is going very well for Paul.
Looks like another shot. 1 damage. And we have 1 evade, so he's all good. Boy, rolling focus heavy over there on Ira's side of the table. And we're going back to the dials. So the difference in these lists it's always interesting to me whenever you have top 4 players that are both obviously skilled, obviously know what they're doing, and have made different decisions as to what's the most critical factor to include in your list. And Paul choosing the 3 Talas, and then Ira choosing to kind of go down to a bandit squadron in order to make room for Gunner. A lot of question marks on my end. How important is that Tala to Paul on it, obviously? Like, he obviously chose, I don't want to go to a bandit to do better on the Gunner side of the equation. So it must have thought that either Pilot Skill 4 was pretty critical, or that there was some other reason, That's pretty much it. It's Pilot Skill, 2 Pilot Skill or not.
Yeah, and sometimes you think that the lower Pilot Skill here on Ira's side is a negative, but when you don't have initiative, it can actually be a really big benefit.
Yeah, that's
you're
what
going to
I'm
get to move
thinking
first
too.
and be a blocker. I know a lot of times players will run a 1 Pilot Skill ship just for the act of getting in the way and basically denying actions or blocking lanes for people to move or barrel roll a boost into. So, I don't know. I think they're both very, very interesting.
I'll tell you what I would be considering coming into a world like this, that I'm sure both Paul and Ira were, is that, Predator being able to reroll 2 dice on Pilot Skill 2 or lower becomes very significant whenever you're thinking, should I run a 2 Pilot Skill Headhunter? And you see it's already bit the dust, so maybe that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, and a lot of lists, going into this, I imagine it was thinking about that lowest Pilot Skill Headhunter. It's going to be a factor. It's going to be in people's lists. So I imagine Predator works out, especially in a TIE Swarm scenario.
Oh man, exceptionally well. Probably its main purpose for existing right there.
All right, we got a 5-car pile up there.
We do. We've got a lot of stuff happening. And is this Falcon, where are we going to go? Are we staying in close? Are we going to make a big swoop here around the table?
I think he's turning left to not go straight off that board.
No,
yeah,
that's probably a reasonable thing to do, Zach. It always trips me out thinking about these movements because that 360 arc.
Yeah, it's really different for them. And one thing Paul is kind of becoming known for is he will take the Falcon and do what most people want, which is fly right through the asteroid field.
He loves it. He can't get enough of it, honestly. And he's going to keep trolling through it there.
Now, Ira's in a pretty good spot here. I think he could very well knock out some headhunters here, where those headhunters of Paul's not getting to take actions. And they're not going to be very lethal on offense because they don't have a focus or anything. So
Paul's also got to worry about this asteroid in his way now on some of these shots.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a problem. So this is actually a recovery turn for Ira. He could see himself kind of bringing it back home here. He needs to get a ship off the board, and it's hard to waste a Falcon on a shields down headhunter, so I don't know that he'll do that. There's 2 hits.
He's going to reroll
1.
Got a blank.
Another blank. Dice have not been kind so far, and we have 2 focus. That's going to be used.
No, that's going to be a gun ship.
There is none. That's right.
That was the one that didn't get taken action. Again, the action denial there is super critical on that movement.
So important to note that there was the not really a gambit necessarily, but all of the Falcon's firepower was directed there at one single shields down headhunter, and ultimately it paid off. A lot of times you'd be tempted to throw more dice at things that have just a little bit more health to churn through, but it worked out. It worked out really well. Something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I mean the math on that, it looks like Falcon's shooting through an asteroid, going to knock all the shields off there
and take a damage.
But
one left.
The math there, when that headhunter has 2 health and no focus, the odds on the defense side are 50-50, so you would expect about 1 evade. And with Gunner and a focus on the Falcon, the odds of getting 3 hits are actually relatively high. So the only way to live through that is to get 2 evades on your dice. So I think it's ultimately the right call.
Which didn't happen, and Ira's starting to catch back into this thing. We have 2 hits versus 0 evades. There is 1 focus there. Will it be spent? Looks like there's some consideration here. I believe this is going at the headhunter.
Yeah, he's going to use it.
He goes ahead and uses it. And it's going to remove 1 shield.
So now this is getting way closer than it felt like it was going to be on that first.
Very close.
First joust.
And there's 3 hits due to the focus. Focus fire on there, and we need some evades out of Paul here if he's going to stick around on this one. And that is 3
out of
hits.
here.
It is exploded.
Ship down.
See you later.
Ship down.
And we have ourselves a game here, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, he's the same pilot skill, so that headhunter's still going to get a shoot. Looks like he gets a hit and a crit. This could be important.
Wow, on the way down, takes the toll with him.
Does that take a ship with him?
I think he takes a ship with him.
Oh my
here.
goodness, what an
Look
exchange!
at that.
All right, so now we're down to 1 headhunter each and full Falcon, and this is going to be, if it comes down to Falcon, that is a hilarious race, by the way.
I don't even know how that's going to, how's that going to end? I think they just fly off into the distance together.
Oh man, 2 hits and a crit.
And we have
With
one evade.
This could be extremely important.
And
see what we get. Nothing.
No.
So he's going to take both shields.
Both shields. We got 1 headhunter shields down against 1 full shields up headhunter. Falcons are untouched.
I would say overall there, Ira, that turn went better for Ira because he fell a little bit behind after that first exchange. So this is going to be a heater. And, going into Falcon v Falcon, I don't think that's ultimately what Paul wants because Ira has Gunner. Paul has Predator. And I think ultimately Gunner is going to pay off more in that scenario because you don't want to... If you evade all the damage, they just get another roll. And you've spent your evade token and your C-3PO and so on. So, very curious to see how this works out.
Absolutely, man. Now I'm just on the edge of my seat. Just on the edge of my seat. We've got the headhunters maneuvering there, doing their little headhunter dance.
Man, those headhunters went down so fast.
Yeah, they just...
Isn't that... taking the guy out with you is the best.
And with such flair too, these crits have been just rolling hard.
Looks like we got a K turn. That's a really smart move. I think that we'll see where the Falcon goes. I doubt he's turning.
This could be some excellent maneuvering here from Paul.
Now, taking the stress there is kind of risky. I'm curious to see the Falcon's maneuver. Looks like we got a bank here. Or just a straight.
Straight, yeah, and he makes it out, yeah.
It's kind of risky because we're going to have a 4-die shot on the Headhunter there with the Falcon, and the Headhunter doesn't have a focus to try to prevent some damage. He does have the shields, so it is...
So we need 4 hits.
4 hits
out of this Falcon, which is totally possible. It's geared up to do this.
Man, I'm liking Ira's chances here. That is... Because he's going to get a shoot first here, I believe. So range 1, rolling 4 dice.
Oh no. Okay.
No, it's fine.
All right.
So
there they are.
Focus. 4 hits. Now,
so Paul needs at least 1 evade to stick around here.
And he got 1.
He gets 1 evade.
Were there any crits there?
I don't see any crits.
That's a bummer. Okay. Wow.
Wow. That
could have gone very poorly for Paul.
That would have been so good. Ultimately, I think this headhunter is. Looks like Falcon's going to go after that headhunter. It shields down, so Paul's really leveraging the odds here.
Wow.
And rolling
2 hits
fire.
and a crit.
Rolling fire.
And
no, it's long gone.
And he's just gone.
Long gone.
All right, but this is still very tight. I mean, the headhunter of Paul's is, I think, going to go down on this next turn. 1 health, the Falcon's going to take care of it. And then we have a Falcon off, which is going to be the funniest thing you've ever seen.
It looks like headhunter still might get a shot. I think he's still got arc here.
Yeah, range
on
1
the Falcon.
for sure.
Just 1 damage.
All right, so C-3PO, gonna name 0. You're gonna get your guaranteed evade.
And there it goes. Okay.
Here we go.
So ultimately, we have exactly what we thought might happen. The headhunters cleared out immediately. It's just like...
And it's really funny in a mirror match here, because they really did mirror each other. It was just a matter of timing on whether Paul had his ship left or not. All right, let's see if he successfully blocked the Falcon. Yes. Yes, he did.
I think he did. Wow, that is a big maneuver for Paul. That might get his Falcon in perfect position to lay something down here. No actions here is going to be a problem.
And this is really one of the big boons to running, a ship like the Falcon or anything that's a little healthier. Like I was saying earlier, Headhunters, Phantoms, they can go down in 1 shot. And 1 turn of getting blocked and not getting action with like a Soontir or a Phantom can be the end of the game. In this case, though, the Falcon is so beefy.
It's so resilient. But, 1 damage is the difference between winning and losing this game right now with 2 Falcons on the table. It's just going to be... And again, this Headhunter is going to be able to stick around and just kind of mirror that Falcon as best it wants and just keep it out of good maneuvers.
Important to note that collision as well.
Terrible dice here.
That's fine. He's
going to gunner those.
I think it's Han. He'll use Han first to reroll, right?
Depends. It all depends on the sequence he's running. Because Gunner, the good thing about Gunner is that
One hit evaded. It looked like it was Han because he's gunnering now.
that's the beautiful thing about Gunner. It's a new attack, so you can reroll all of your dice.
Yep. 2 hits.
And man, how many dice you got to throw to get? Okay, we'll take 2.
There it is. That's pretty good.
Pretty solid.
One thing about the collision there means that Ira's Falcon can't target the Headhunter.
Yeah, big deal. All right, well, 3 hits right back at you without nearly the dice.
All right, so he rolled an evade. Looks like we're tied
Takes
up
2.
here. No, it looks like
Yeah, Paul C3PO calling 0 there, so he went ahead and got 1.
Yeah, if Paul can keep this collision train going, the lack of actions for the Falcon is going to be very painful, and it's going to keep that Headhunter alive.
This is a big show for maneuvers right here, and Ira just having to basically eat it here.
Yeah, I mean, because of the asteroid and the edge of the board where they're at right now, it's probably going to be a turn or 2 before Ira can take a maneuver that doesn't land it into the
Man,
headhunter.
this is crazy. That is why, like, the race to clear the opponent's headhunters, this is critical. I mean, we've got two turns now of no actions for this Falcon just because of 1 damage. Talk about a tight game.
Yep.
And it's exactly what you'd expect out of a mirror match. We'll see what Paul's going to do. Probably just going to keep giving chase here.
Absolutely. He's just going to stick right there, range 1, get his action. And he's going to try to lay in some damage. Without Gunner and with Ira with Gunner, I think he needs to make this margin as big as possible.
Well, that focus is definitely doing that right now. So Falcon, here we go, swinging in. Going to reroll 1, and
4
there's
hits.
4 hits. That's what he needed. And we have no evades. So
Wow.
there goes. I
And he
imagine
got 0 C3PO, so he got 1 of those.
He got one
That's
of
still
them.
3 shields down.
And back at it, range 1.
Gonna go ahead and focus it.
And there's
for
4 hits on a single roll. Paul doing well here. And look at these Falcons just tearing each other apart.
Wow.
1 shield to no shields.
All right, this is the big turn. If for some reason Ira's move gets him to run to that, like if he turned here,
Do you think he can go forward here?
I think he does just go forward.
We'll find out. And there he
'Cause he's
is
got
picking
the
up a
360
straight.
yards.
That's
Yeah,
good. That's
he
important.
needs to get as far away.
Now, does he bother with the headhunter right now, or does he have to keep stress on the Falcon? Because he's shields down now. This is an issue.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Headhunter is even if the Headhunter gets into position to shoot the Falcon has 360,
It
so
just
he can
doesn't
shoot
matter,
first, right?
Yeah.
So it's tough. I would probably go Falcon to try to get the Falcon to use his focus on defense.
All right, Falcon gonna
Or his
Paul
action on
giving
evade.
chase here with his Falcon, and it's coming in. Nice lineup there, and what a skirmish we have here. Oh man, 360 paying dividends here for Ira, of course.
Now it looks like Paul took the evade token there.
Whoa.
I think it's with Han and Predator. I think that's the correct call.
It's wild card.
You don't give your opponent the chance to get free damage in.
To get back in, yeah.
Yeah.
And Ira looking at the headhunter here.
Yeah, it's worth checking.
I mean, it's tasty.
Looks like he's doing it. Maybe range 1.
Oh no.
3 blanks and a.
That's all right. We got rerolls forever.
All right, so he's triggering Han. 2 hits, 2 focus. So it's just 2 hits. Paul rolls blanks. That's going to be the end of the Headhunter's game.
All right, there you go.
And we are down to a 1-on-1.
We're down to a 1-on-1, but again, a free tempo shot here for Paul on the Falcon. And this is a very big deal.
1 hit, 2 focus.
He's going
I
to on
recall
it.
0 evade, so he's going to.
Looks like 2 hits there. 1 crit, 1 hit. Ooh, and that crit
Wow.
could sink. Let's find out what we got. Oh, did he call it?
I think he called it.
He 3PO'd and
nailed it.
And nailed it. Impressive.
3PO is a magician.
All right, and Paul doing the old
That's why you hold the template firmly.
top hat Falcon.
By the way, once you get it on the board, you press that thing down. It doesn't matter what happens to the ship at that point.
The template is all that matters.
It is the only thing that matters.
All right, so we got a Falcon chase going on. Both of them basically equal. We have 1 shield is the difference in this match right now.
1 shield and Gunner v Predator.
And choosing to boost instead of taking any kind of a focus or any evade or anything. So is it going to pay off? What's he looking for?
think he's looking for distance. He doesn't want a range 1 happening.
And any ideas as far as ooh, yeah, Paul's got R2, man. Let's not forget.
R2 is also a magician.
And
he's gonna take a shield. I thought he took an evade.
we don't know, Zach.
Color me confused.
Color me. Here goes Paul on the shot. Re-rolls everywhere. Two hits coming through. And we've got a guess happening here for C3PO.
Do you say 1 or you say 0 here?
I say 1 because I'm a wild man.
I'm a wildcat.
Oh, there it is.
Got the 1.
Got the 1, but probably called 0.
Yeah. Yeah, on 2 dice there, I almost feel tempted to go ahead and just call the 1. But it's very min-max. It could go very poorly.
It could go bad for you, yeah.
It's like if you roll 2 and get 0 and called 1, then you just get 0. In that case, you're guaranteed to at least get 1.
So Ira running here, and this is what an interesting game. We have basically the differences of R2D2 on Paul's side versus Gunner on Ira's side. So a pretty decent kind of question mark as far as who's going to win this in the long game. And Ira really running away hard here. What do you think is the...
I wonder whose Falcon costs more points.
Oh, do you think that's what this is about?
If Ira's Falcon costs more points, he actually just needs to stay alive.
That could well be the case, and it does, I believe, which is why I had to downgrade to that Bandit Squadron.
I mean, he's no longer running, it doesn't seem.
But he does probably want to put some pressure on Paul to come through the asteroids if he wants to party. He's getting could be getting some good shots here through the asteroids.
Looks like he's boosting. Yeah, I'm curious. That it's certainly, I mean, no holds barred in this kind of a match.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and look at Paul just calling it here. Shutting down the board. Reminds me of like late game chess right here.
All right, so he's taking the evade. I could have sworn he took an evade last time and didn't use it, bizarrely. With a 360 arc there, it makes sense to cut down the middle because your opponent can't really get away.
Yeah. All right, and we have, looks like 2 hits. Anything else? Nothing else?
1 evade, taking the shield. What's her name? 0 is C3PO. I feel like I would be a crazy Falcon pilot. Never will be, but would be.
Well, what's that evade token doing if it ain't being used?
I don't know. Well, you know what it is. Here's what it is. You're taking 1. If you evade it, then he gets Gunner.
There it is. There it is.
So you're okay with 1 damage.
You got it.
I was so confused.
Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, Gunner would just mean you could, instead of taking 1, take 4 or 3.
Yeah, let's not do that. And Paul recovering the shield, looks like with R2.
What a bizarre position.
This is some next level X-Wing, guys. This is, for the very competitive players out there, they know exactly what's going on. He's Fat Hanless. Just money.
Range 2. Man, this is a war of attrition if I've ever seen one.
Ira coming through and just not getting the dice today.
That's why you run Han and
plenty
Gunner.
of rerolls, but
So he's got 1.
Still just not seeing those hits. And evaded.
Evade it, and we got a Gunner coming in. Man. 2.
And reroll Predator there. Dang.
That was rerolled Han.
1 evade.
Yeah, so
Han.
he's taking the shield. And so this is the interesting spot. If Paul's Falcon can basically take 1 a turn, he can basically recover the shield every time we see C3PO. 3 hits here. So I think Paul's got a winning strategy if he can keep it up.
Yeah, that's looking really good. So he takes 1 damage. And now they're playing, man, this is the...
All right, so he's recovering that shield again. And that's the goal here would be to basically recover 1 shield and just take 1 every turn so you don't give him the Gunner for maybe 3 or 4 damage. We'll see if Ira's dice can heat up here.
You know, what seems to be happening is Paul is not getting any crits from R2. Because you do roll, you get the shield, and you have to roll to see if you take a crit, right?
Yeah.
And
But it's 1 in 8.
It's true.
To take it. So it's not extremely likely. That's what makes Fathom fat.
Ira rolling blanks all day. Re-rolling the dice.
All right.
And gets 2 hits, which is just not enough.
It's brutal.
1 damage on Paul's Han there. And we have now 2 crits, it looks like, and a focus. So I think you probably call 1 of 8 here, don't you? Looks like nothing. Looks like he evaded them all.
Yep. Round and round we go. Which Falcon blows up? Nobody knows.
And taking evades now. Both players doubling down on that kind of strategy. Paul again regaining that shield. All right, looks like we may have some range 1 action going on now.
This could be really big, I think, especially in Ira's favor. But part of that Predator that's really nice is, Han makes you reroll as many dice as possible. Predator lets you reroll 1 if that's the case. Look at that. That's just brutal.
Yeah, so we probably Han those.
All right, 2 hits.
2 hits.
Got an evade. Taking the shield, which is exactly what Paul wants. He just can't get damage here. So we got 1 hit. He's going to reroll all with Han. He's going to reroll nothing. Just blanks.
Nothing.
All right, round and round we go.
Blank skis.
Man. This is insane. And this, I think this really shows you the importance of list building and skill on Paul's part, because he has this setup where if he's playing another Falcon, he knows exactly what he needs, which is get rid of all the other ships and get to a point where I can basically guarantee you're only going to get 1 hit on me in turn.
Yeah, both these guys, I think, for certain came in with a plan. I think Ira's list is ultimately better at probably just a Swiss odds, Swiss rounds, just getting through and getting to a place like this. Whereas Paul sacrifices a little bit, but does so well in a mirror match like this. R2D2 really being the deciding factor. Predator not really playing as much of an impact in this kind of a matchup, this mirror match of big ship 1 attack versus big ship 1 attack.
Now, you see there, Ira had 3 hits. And Paul had an evade token to spend. He called 0 with C-3PO.
There's 2 already.
So there's 2, and he just takes the 1. Crazy.
And then he regains the shield with R2.
And he doesn't have to spend the evade token. So he basically guarantees that he can only take a damage. Unless, and that's what's curious about Ira getting to these long-range shots with extra defense die, is I feel like Ira needs a range 1 4 hits.
Yes. I think that's probably the only way to start cracking through
to put Paul in a spot to actually take damage. And if Ira's Falcon is more expensive, I have to wonder, at what point do you just start getting out of town? Get out of funky town.
I think we can say with just looking at the list here that Ira's is going to be more expensive. So maybe that is a part of the strategy here. Maybe there's a piece of this that is all about running down the clock. Paul knows it. He's pursuing, and where 1 Falcon can move, a 2nd Falcon can always move as well. So there's really no place to run. It's just a matter of hoping that you can bide enough time. Paul probably going to cut through the asteroids here if I know him at all. He loves dancing through there.
We'll see. Taking an evade. Looks like Paul's just going 4 forward.
4 forward. He's just going to put on the afterburners.
Yep, and he's got the engine upgrade. So if he wants to get even closer, he can.
It looks like he's just going to...
I don't think it favors him to be at range 1.
Drop either the focus or the evade there. All right, 1, and there's 3 damage.
Rolls an evade, spins an evade, takes a shield. Same song, different verse.
Same dance. And 3 right back with 1 crit. Well, that's better. Those dice are more fun. I think he's going to call 1 here. I just think. You can't call 0. I mean, what does it get you, honestly? And he gets nothing. Is that going to be...
Looks
1
like a direct
crit?
Hit. Yeah, this is just, I think, honestly showing the brutality of Fat Han. I mean, imagine if you didn't have Falcon with Gunner and Han Solo's ability. you would never even get close to hitting the Falcon.
Not even close.
Or for more than 1 damage.
This is it's kind of a fundamentals list in a sense. It's all about leveraging the odds on the dice, which, anytime you have a dice game, it's certainly when dice are an element in the conclusion of a game, it really makes sense to make those dice as stable as possible. And I think that's exactly what Fat Han is all about. And the Falcon was just kind of waiting for these Headhunter supports and a few other critical cards that have come out, as you mentioned, Zach. And
that
now,
R2D2 crew is
insane.
insane.
I think now here it is in all of its glory. And Paul taking the evade as usual.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing that it can be easy to overlook the somewhat combo potential here. All right, one evade. Spend it, take the shield, spend
etc. Paul returning fire.
We have
2 hits.
Predator. 3 hits.
3 hits happening here.
One evade. Spend the evade token. Take 1.
Ooh, taking 1. So yeah, if you look at this graph over time, it becomes pretty clear that Paul is decisively in the lead as far as the damage race is concerned, and again, gaining a shield with that R2D2.
Yeah, I mean, R2D2 is definitely the difference maker here, and I think, again, I have to think that Ira's only out is range 1.
Yeah, well, this isn't working.
Yeah, because like right now, nothing's happening to Paul, and Ira's just taking damage slowly. But if you're range run, if you can hit for 4, that's brutal.
Yeah, this is kind of the story of Ira's dice today too.
But
not been great.
3 hits there, but Paul's in a position to not care. If Ira got 3 hits every time, Paul's still only going to take 1 and recover it with R2D2. So
now is Paul just seriously not rolling? Has he not rolled a crit at all for that R2? I mean, he just keeps regaining that shield, and I've seen nothing happen.
Yeah, again, it's even 1 in 8 turns you don't get the shield. That's still, yeah,
it's still worth doing.
Yeah, still worth doing. So, all right, looks like we might have some range 1 here. And God forbid that Ira could score a critical that ignores all the opponent's upgrades. Would be the magic. I would be trying to get as close as possible and rolling it.
You're in Hail Mary territory here, and you've got Gunner, which is your 1 advantage. I'm gonna get a reroll.
All right, 2.
Sticking with 2.
Paul's gonna take 1.
All right, well, looks about the same, doesn't it?
It does look about the same.
4 coming
now
back
Paul's
in.
got range 1. This is gonna be bad.
Predator, 1 of those in.
And it's a blank.
So just 2.
Hopefully he named 0.
Hopefully he named 0.
He did.
I think Ira's a wise man. You don't get to the top 4 not knowing how that works. And the shield is back.
Back in the game. It's really bizarre that Paul has taken none damage in this exchange.
Yeah. It's pretty serious numbers game at this point. Ira needs a miracle. Pick them all up, reroll them.
2 hits, 1 evade, taking 1 damage. It's just bizarre to watch.
It looks familiar, doesn't it, Zach? Now this is a lot of, I think, there's all the hits. I don't know that there's a...
Well, if you name 1 with C-3PO and get it, you have an evade token.
That's what you got to do.
Or you name 0 and just take that damage. But instead, looks like we have another direct hit.
Is that a direct hit again?
I can't make it out completely, but it does not look good. Ira's Falcon is hurting here.
Well, we got a chance at least to talk to Alex Davey after this tournament about the prevalence of Fat Han and kind of what these lists are doing and how they're working. Look at this maneuvering, man. I love it. And he said they're aware. We know what's going on. No big. That's just kind of the nature of things. But a top 4 that has 2 Hans and then 2 other lists, certainly nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple interesting things about this in particular is that, one, it is a mirror match. And it's a mirror match where one player doesn't have R2-D2. So it's particularly abusive right now. But I think, if you focus on the Falcon early, like, they can only do that trick on 1 or 2 attacks. And then the rest of the attacks are their normal, I'm rolling 1 defense die, I've spent my evade token.
Ooh, no evades. That's okay.
Take 1, gain my shield.
And there's going to be a reroll.
So it's important not to judge a list or a combo purely based on how it plays in a single matchup, right?
It's just a solid ship. It feels like the ship right out of New Hope,
Really
it's
hard
just,
to deal with.
It just is always getting out of problematic situations and bringing things down.
Yeah, I'll be curious. I would love to see this list up against a well-flown TIE Swarm, or even something with offense like a Phantom or an Echo or a Whisper to just get in range 1, roll 5 dice, and force the issue. I almost think if you're Ira and you look across the first of the game and see it's a mirror match except for his R2D2, I almost wonder if you have to go after Falcon.
You just got to pile on.
But again, it's that problem. It's the problem of if you go after Falcon and he gets rid of your headhunters, and then he has 2 headhunters versus your and Falcon.
You've got to get it done. Yeah, I think Ira, if he was looking back, maybe going back, maybe he would at least think that his odds were higher.
So it looks like Paul actually took the crit there from R2D2.
Well, he took a crit last turn, it looks like, and I think he just took an action to flip it or did something.
I think it was the crit that you roll immediately.
Nice.
It hit damage. You get the effect.
Okay, well there it goes.
There it is. Congrats to Paul Heaver on making it again to the final
rounds. My goodness, guys, there's some great blogs on teamcovenant.com regarding these kinds of matches, and especially Paul and kind of his effect on the game.
Yeah.
And a lot of good stuff there. So check that out, teamcovenant.com. You can find a great X-Wing community there, and we'd be happy to see you. Paul's going to move on to the finals. Congrats to Ira for making a top 4 showing with a beautifully painted Millennium Falcon, and we're going to catch you guys on the next round of this top 4. Game 2 is going to be coming at you soon.
And then we'll see if Paul and his Fat Han can be stopped.
We will see it, and if you guys are ever interested in getting some sweet templates like Ira has on the right, then we do sell those, and they help us do what we do. So check them out, Covenant Templates. We'll see you guys later.